So I thought to myself at that time, I don't want this happening to one of my clients. People are not getting on board, and this is not going to go away. A new agent should get on board for this. The problem that the realtors have is that they don't understand it, so they would rather not represent it. There's so much money to be made in real estate. People don't have to feel like they're giving their money away, you know.
Well, welcome, folks, back to another podcast episode on Stellar Minds, where we interview real estate professionals, entrepreneurs, and we learn about their journey, not just the wins, but how they got here today. And, folks, I have an amazing guest, Peggy Christ, who is a 35-year real estate veteran who is on the board of directors with the Florida Green Building Coalition, and she sits on the governing council for the USGBC. Folks, this is going to be a fantastic show. So get your popcorn, hold on to your seats, and let's get into it. Peggy, appreciate you joining us today.
I appreciate being here on.
Yeah, no, this is going to be a really exciting show because you're a little bit different than most agents that we speak with and brokers. It seems here that you just have a very big passion about sustainability, and we're going to kind of jump into that. But before we do, I would just like to start off kind of, let's rewind the clock a little bit. Let's go back in time and basically figure out how this all started, the origins of it. So what inspired you to start in real estate originally, and then how'd you kind of segue into the green movement?
Well, I was in development. I've always been in real estate, even back in Houston. I was in multifamily development syndications. When I came here, I was strong into development, and then back in 28 or something, I left the development and went into real estate because I love I love shopping, and my husband feels comfortable that I can't buy everything I see. So it kind of worked good. And I mean, I love people. I love real estate. You know, my nieces are in real estate up in the Panhandle. It kind of runs in my family. So, um, and on the green back in 2008, I had renovated. I have a little bungalow back on the river that I think Tarzan lived in before we did.
Oh,
So I renovated it. And then I went to, I was with Remax at that time, and they had a speaker in for green sustainability. And I thought to myself, God, why didn't my contractor tell me about this stuff? And when I approached him, he said, well, it's too expensive. And I said, I think you needed to let me make that decision. I can't go back and retrofit. So I thought to myself at that time, I don't want this happening to one of my clients. So I became board of directors for uh, Florida Green Building Coalition. I became nationally certified in green.
hmm.
I joined the governing council for the U.S. Green Building, and then we went and greened Stellar back in 2011. We had a panel of like 35 expertise. It was outstanding. We had like 17 pages of definitions. Anyway, throughout the years, I've done sessions with the realtors and that. I cannot get the agents to use the fields. And to me, it's like listing a property on the river and not mentioning that it's on the river. You know, I mean, our my company was green, be energy efficient. That's
Hmm.
our piece of the puzzle for the future. That's where our value is going to be. They're healthier homes, more sustainable homes. We're trying to with the Florida Green Building Coalition. We're trying to work with all the property appraisers throughout the state of Florida on getting an exemption for green, like you get a homestead exemption
Hmm. Or
but you're going to
solar.
need for everything for your green.
Right.
But these green certifications are important because it's a third party that comes in and certifies what you've done with the green.
Hmm.
So whenever I run into agents and we've got several developments down here that mandate it, where you have to have a green certified, your home has to be green certified. So
Hmm.
through the Florida Green Building Coalition, I do a lunch and learn webinar every month, and it's free. You can download it for free. And it's on the Florida Green Building Coalition's website. It's under webinars. And the brokers, I've encouraged brokers to do a lunch and learn with their offices. And it's on all different green certifications, on Water Star, on solar, to help people get on board. To me, I think the brokers should be encouraged. New agents should, this is their little niche. People are not getting on board, and this is not going to go away. A new agent should get on board for this. Start learning about it so that they're familiar when they go to a listing and they see that something might be green on their listing. Encourage to have some dialogue with your listing, your sellers. Um, I've been encouraged agents that any agent that I run across, if they have listings in areas I know are green, I tell them about it. I get the green certification for them. I go over the green certification so that they can properly record it in the MLS. And I would be delighted. I always offer my services because I just want people on board for it. Sandra Adamatis, who was the former president of the Appraisal Institute for the entire United States, she's doing a webinar for me uh, on solar, on the value of solar, appraising solar. And these are things that any agent, new, old, should get on board, listen to it, get familiar with it, so they understand why there's value in representing these green certifications, these green listings.
Let's take a pause here because there's probably a lot of people, even agents, who don't fully understand what being green certified is or what green homes are. So let's maybe explain to the viewers what that is and then why it's so important and the value that an agent might have being certified or understanding what these green things may be, so that way they can start making more informed decisions when they're looking to grow and scale their new asset of learning and putting another notch on their belt of things that they can help them with, right?
Right, right. The green certifications with the U.S. Green Building, that's where you hear about LEED. They each have four different levels of green certification, and every home is different. You can't just take one home and the next home and they're both green certified and they're both the same. There's a whole list of features that go into a green certified home that you can emphasize on. You could use your points more towards the landscaping, more towards the air conditioning, more towards there's several different issues that make a home green, but they're all energy efficient. Like I said, Water Star, your appliances. Um, the importance of the green is that the green certified home is that it's a third party that comes in and actually certifies what's been done to your home. Any home that's being built right now could get green certified just because of the codes are that. And
Is it
I
more expensive to
No,
get
it's not. No, it's
oh,
not.
so
It's
would you
not.
consider that maybe a misconception? People thinking that, oh, I got to get green this, green that. It's going to cost more. It's more efficient, even though obviously it's sounds like it's better for the consumer to have these things built. But what would you consider a misconception, or what's one of the struggles that you're finding? And since you've been doing this 2011,
Mhm.
what kind of hurdles and what are you hearing out there that are some of these misconceptions that maybe we can,
From the
kind
real
of
estate
dismay right now?
from the real estate standpoint, I think realtors are afraid they're going to be misrepresenting the listing. And that's why the third party is so important. They're not making any representation. They're just attaching the green certification that a home's been given. And like I said, there's four levels. And you could get a baseline like a bronze level, and there's seven categories that go into a green certified home. It's their lot location. I mean, there's several. But the problem that the realtors have is that they're they don't understand it, so they would rather not represent it, you know. And anybody, like I said, down here, you have Lakewood Ranch, Babcock Ranch, that mandate green. So they have to get on board for it. If you're going to be listing in developments that are green certified, you have to understand why it's important. These homes are, and I wish I could have time to go over the green certification, but one of the webinars I have on the Florida Green Building Coalition, and they're only an hour lunch and learns, goes into the categories and that because like I said, each person can do anything. I think everybody should be focused on sort of green, on energy features. Like I told you, I live in a home that I think Tarzan lived in before we did. So anytime I go to do something to my home, I'm thinking energy efficient. In the ML Stellar, we did a great job. We had like 17 pages of definitions with Stellar that gave the category that is listed in our MLS. It gave them an explanation of what that was. It gave them further links to go to for further information on it. I think that the agent should take those definitions and go through 5 of them a day just to get familiar with what does it mean to be green? What does it mean to be sustainable? What is resiliency? Where does resiliency comes in? Where's the value on that? And get familiar with them because then they'll know that for the future. And it's like a no-brainer to me. I mean, if you've got a home and you're doing energy features that makes that home healthier, I have asthma. Major important to me to have a healthy home, you know?
Mm.
And like I said, down the road, hopefully we'll get some exemptions for people that do it. But if an agent is what I would do if I was an agent is I'd start listening to the webinars. If they don't have these definitions, MLS definitions from Stellar, I'd be delighted to send it to them. There's 17 pages. Go through each one, like 5 a day, and start getting familiar with the language, you know.
Yeah, and before we end, we'll definitely be able to put that website up there so that people who are interested can go to that site and check out the webinar. Because I think as a real estate professional, when you come into it, you don't realize there's so many things that a real estate agent is doing. They thought they were going to just sell, homes and make a whole bunch of money. And then they realize, well, now they're a person wearing many hats. They have to do so many things. And to be a better agent and stand out in the marketplace where it's just overwhelmed with agents, having these certifications or understanding green sounds like there's a value proposition for them to come in and learn these things, not only just for personal gain to be a better real estate agent per se, but because they can actually relay that information to consumers and be able to eventually sell a home better by saying, hey, look, Mr. Buyer, Miss Buyer, this home is energy efficient. Let me explain what that means to you, right? And then they can go through as they're living in this home 5, 10 years down the line, how it's going to reduce costs, right? How it's going to help their energy bill. And so they might be looking and comparing it to another home that's not, and they can say, well, this would actually save you a lot more money in the future and be able to provide a healthier, cleaner environment for you, your family, things of that nature. Let me ask you this, because it seems like there's a big pushback. You and I were talking about finding it hard to get agents that are on board and aligned with your vision and how you feel about real estate. What kept you going despite, these challenges?
I want somebody to pick up. I want somebody, the thing about, there are so many, it's like Manatee County. Manatee County is platinum certified. That's the highest level of green certification you can get. And it's a government, which is so out. I mean, what they had to do to attain that was unbelievable. And to even maintain that, unbelievable. Sarasota gold certified in green. If the governments are on board for this, we should be on board for this.
Hmm.
Like green certified homes, they're worth more money. They're worth 10 to 15% more than another home.
And it
You
doesn't
know,
cost them anything extra, you're saying?
no, it doesn't. Like when you go buy a home out of Lakewood Ranch, for example, it comes with a green certification. The problem is from the get-go, they don't understand it. When I run into somebody that buys at any development that has bought in any development, I say to them, did you get your green certification? And they'll say to me, I don't know what you're talking about. So I get the certification. I go over it with them so they understand it because some of the items, they may have gotten points for doing no VOC paint, using no VOC paint on their walls. And they inadvertently went in there and repainted the whole house. And now they've lost those points. So it's important that people understand their certifications too. But I think that the bigger, I've even run into agents. I had a couple from France that called me because of the green. They wanted a green certified home. They couldn't find an agent that understood it. Anyway, they flew in, young couple. I took them out to Lakewood Ranch. They found a home out there. When I talked to the agent, she didn't know what I was talking about. She said she had bought in Lakewood Ranch, so I got her certification, went over it with my people too. Um, but to this date, that agent, when she lists out there, she does not mention anything about the green. This is after I went through it because, well, she can sell it without it. She can sell it. It's going to sell without having to do that. The problem is these homes are worth more money. So you're not doing any justice to your clients by not doing it. And like I said, it's like listing a home on the river and not mentioning it's on the river. You know, it's the lost value that people aren't seeing with with the certifications, And that's why
And you don't necessarily have to be certified as an agent. You just have to be knowledgeable about what green is. And it doesn't take you, like you said, just a little bit of time to learn these things. And it will just help you to be able to sell the property better. And you're seeing right now that folks are just really not leaning towards this knowledge to say, hey, this is actually going to be a better deal in the overall because you're adding more value to the home and all of the things that we've previously discussed on how it can help them, energy costs, things of that nature. Um, and I could definitely see that. And what do you think is the challenge or the reason why these agents are learning now?
I don't
Obviously
think I think
most
it's too
agents,
much.
they don't want to, they're not good. We all agree most agents, look, they don't really pour into their business like the top percentage do. They're just running around here thinking things are going to fall into their lap, so they're not really growing and learning and treating this as a career. You mentioned you're on the board of the Florida Green Building Coalition
Uh-huh.
and governing council for U.S. Green Building Council. Let me ask you this. So how did the involvement with these organizations actually shift your approach or credibility? And do you feel that other agents can lean on that as well?
Well, and that's why I started my own company because I could not get brokers on board for it. And I says, forget it. I'm going to go open up my own company. And when I start taking money out of your agents' pockets, maybe then you'll listen to me. But
Hmm.
Florida Green Building Coalition is all Florida based. It's based only on our climate here.
Hmm.
Okay. U.S. green building is throughout the entire United States. It has everything. And it is much more, U.S. green building certification is much more intensive. Like when a home is being built that's certified for Florida green building, you have probably 5 inspections during the construction period. During an inspection for U.S. green building, there's probably 45. I mean, it's more intense, more
Of
intense. But
course.
it's still, there's homes down here that are platinum certified in LEED, net zero. And I can't get the agents to put that in the listing. It's like, oh my God, do you not see the value? The value in it.
Well, I
And
think this
I've
is
offered my services for free for anybody, any agent out there that needs to know how to start. So I send them a list of different things, like a green building. If people don't know to even start, there's a registry called Green Building Registry that you can go into and put an address in on a home, and it will tell you if that home's certified and what it was certified for. Florida Green Building Coalition also has a website. I mean, on their main website where you can look up to see if a home is certified, so that
wow.
you get that. I mean, but I
That's a
can't.
that's a powerful resource right there.
It's definitely. But I think agents think it's more involved than they want to be, and they are a little bit leery about making representations. And I'm not asking anybody. I'm green certified because I need the leverage with what I do. you know.
Leverage.
But
Yeah, that's a powerful word, right? Like I get more leverage. It's a selling, point
it
where
adds credibility to me.
and
That
in the
know what I'm
fact that they
talking.
can just go there. It's not like if they feel like it, because it seems like you would know best. You're talking to these agents and they feel like they're going to be representing a house that's green energy as if they're not sure or confident, but yet there's a resource to say, no, look, this home is actually green certified. Here's what's been done. And then you can basically provide that to the homeowner for reassurance, right?
Uh-huh.
I think this is a great segue here to kind of move into systems strategies along this ploy here, right? And what actually moves the needle. Um, Let me ask you, so what does your current process look like when listing a green home? How do you ensure, the energy efficient aspects are properly documented and marketed? I think we kind of just touched on that, but maybe you can iterate a little bit.
Yeah, if I'm listing a green certified home, I get their certification. I'm and a lot of times the sellers don't even know they have it. So I get the certification, I go over it with them, and it matches there's the certification is just one page that says you're bronze, you're silver, you're platinum. But the detail is like 7 pages, and it details what exactly made that home green, and it mirrors what's in the MLS. So it's not that difficult to go in and Dropbox. Then I take that certification and I attach it to the MLS. Okay, so that I'm not making that representation. I'm showing them this is the certification. This is the third party that came in and certified this is what was in this house. Those values.
No, that's fantastic. And you emphasize, using green fields in the MLS, in attaching these third-party certifications. How effective has that been in attracting buyers or influencing price?
Oh, I just helped an agent 2 months ago. She had a listing at Lakewood Ranch, and she was looking at one of my other listings, and we came across it, and I asked her, knew nothing about it, got the certification, explained it to her. She put it in the MLS properly, and she sold the home 3 weeks later. And her buyer's probably more thrilled than because now they have something that they didn't even know they were aware of. And
It's like the cherry on top. You didn't even know was in it.
and the sad part about it is some of these agents should jump on board because what's happened, some agent's going to start taking that lead in these
Mm.
developments that mandated, and they're going to be the only ones that have these listings that have these certifications, when in fact everything out there is green certified. It's like I help my niece up in the Panhandle. There's a up in Seaside area. There's a development called Alice Beach, and it's all high end. I mean, 3 million and up, and it's also mandates green. And I helped her do it. There isn't any agent in there that lists green, and now she's getting business in there because of that. I mean, it's like
So
for
it's,
any, it's
it's definitely like an additional asset that can help you convert leads better.
oh my God, and it's fantastic for the realtors to get on board, learn about it,
Hmm.
get excited about it because these are values that your sellers or your buyers aren't even aware of. You're going to make yourself stand above the rest.
What challenges do you think remain right now when trying to educate brokers or realtors about the value of green homes? Like, what really is the roadblock that you're seeing?
I just have to keep doing it. That's why I do the webinars.
Education? Uh,
Education
I
is your
mean,
biggest thing. That's why I have people that have credibility too. Appraisal Institute. There's green appraisers. And I'm having the Sandra Adamata speak for an hour on the value of green. So these agents can sit in their homes and listen to her webinar and understand it because there's a lot of these homes you're listing down here that have solar on. And if you don't know that there's value in that,
mhm.
you're kind of not doing any service to your listing, your clients, you know.
Yeah. And it's a shame, but we're dealing with agents, which once again, the majority of them aren't really looking and growing. And in order to be successful, not just as an agent, but as a business entrepreneur, as a human being, we can't rely on the past and things that we knew about to continue to help us and propel us forward and to continue that revenue that maybe you once had right now.
Uh-huh.
And so it seems like having this additional asset, this knowledge base of green, how to not only um, protrude it to a seller or a buyer, but also when you're marketing, that you can use the description of this green home, the energy efficiencies of this home in order to help convert and close more deals.
Oh yeah, and
Um,
it's kind of exciting. I do a green drinks too every month.
a green
Like
what?
it's called Green Drinks.
Okay.
It's a social event where people
It's
from
not
all
wheatgrass or spirulina or anything like
yeah,
that.
yeah. And I don't drink because I'm one of those people that when you drink, I get drunk real fast and I get sicker even faster. So I've
Oh
always
man,
been the designated driver,
good
which I
for
don't have
you.
a problem with. But the green drinks is for people in all different aspects of sustainability. It's like the our airport, Tampa Airport. They are unbelievably green. They have
Oh yeah.
Eric Chapman that runs the sustainability area up there. Selby Gardens,
Well,
unbelievable. They're
why
platinum
wouldn't
green.
you want to? I mean, if you got energy efficient appliances and everything is more efficient, guess what? As the owner of that property, your bills are going to go down. You're going to have more top line revenue. Like, so it makes sense to want to have efficiency. So I'm kind of here with you. Matter of fact, when I was in my 20s, I was part of a solar program that was coming out of California where they would basically match your current energy cost, and then you would be grandfathered in, put a solar system on your home, and it would
Whoa.
cost you nothing. And it was being rolled out. This was out in my 20s. This is over 2 decades ago. And I was very passionate about the same things you are, matter of fact. And I started learning about lead and I was doing public events as well and telling people about this program. And I had a lot of the same hiccups you're running into. And as a child, 20-year-old, a little child, if you may,
Uh-huh.
I decided, okay, maybe I'm a little too early for this because, innovation takes a little while for mass adoption. But now you're seeing it. A lot more people are using solar. They're getting those incentives. They see the value, lower energy costs, things of that nature. And there's programs that are helping them afford it, financing that's helping them afford it, things like that. So when we look at, all these different organizations, these businesses like Tampa Airport that are using it, it just seems like a no-brainer. So it
Well, and
just
there's a lot of young kids. I mean, I love when I see somebody like you that's younger that understands it. And there are a lot of people young that are coming up in it. It's not, like I said, it's not going to go away. There was a school down in Sarasota, and I'm trying to think of which school it was, that went green from solar. And the kids in the class were from sixth grade to, no, it was like second grade to eighth grade. And when we awarded their ceremony, their certification status, the kids are the ones that did the presentation. These are kids that are in sixth grade, seventh grade. I was like, oh my God, I'm like loving this. But a lot of these developments, like Babcock Ranch down in Punta Gorda, they have community gardens within each of their subdivisions, and they've got schools in there that are green certified too. But they have the kids go and harvest the food from their own gardens. This is they're teaching the kids to come up and what the value of all this is. You
That's
know,
great.
I just think that anybody that's in real estate is missing the ball by not at least understanding this. You
And
know,
we're not talking just single family. We're talking commercial
oh,
across
commercial.
the board.
Yeah,
I mean,
when we went green in 2011, Stellar would not let us do just residential. We had to do commercial too. And so I went around to the commercial broker meetings and they go, "Oh, there's no value." And I go, "Oh my God, it's even worse with commercial." I mean,
well, it
it's
seems like they
amazing.
might be trying to cut back on costs to get this building built, and the investors are trying to get the biggest bang for their buck. But based on what we're hearing, and you would know best, is that it doesn't seem like there's additional cost to this. And
Well,
so
and
now here we go back to education, and
right, right. And that's
it,
what I'm
it's
saying. We are in real estate. And so these are homes that you're not even telling people to spend the money. These are homes that have that certification in place, have these green field that all I'm saying is if you're going to list a piece of property and you're in these developments that are green certified, represent the listing properly,
mm,
and find
yeah.
out. And people can go on my website. I have all of the different developments that uh under the green resources on my website. I've got all the developments that are green. Lakewood Ranch with a link to that. Babcock Ranch with a link to that. Alice Beach up in the Panhandle, link to that. There's a developer down here, Marshall Gobity. He strictly goes with lead, but he is platinum. He goes the highest, and he would love he's a great person to have on. I got to have him on one of my webinars because he would share with anybody his knowledge. There's so much money to be made in real estate. People don't have to feel like they're giving their money away. That's why I help anybody that has a problem or wants to understand. When I talk to new realtors and meet new realtors, I go, if you take a listing in one of these, call me. I'll go over everything with you so that you understand it and don't feel uncomfortable about it. Um, it's just education. That's the biggest thing. And I'll stay in this business doing this because first of all, I love it. I'm passionate about it. I firmly believe this is our value for the future.
Mm. And
And
I think it is too, learning new ways. I mean, to reduce
energy and
costs and energy and waste, all these things are very important. But we're growing as a planet, right? More human beings, more waste, more of this, more of that. And
oh,
so
I would like to tell
to
the developers, stop putting in irrigation systems. Let's go back to being hose huggers. Oh my God, stop it. I would also like them to encourage people to do rain barreling harvesting. Get the developer to do fantastic rain barrels outside their homes. Um,
Yeah,
it's just
a lot
simple
of
stuff
people
that
don't
we can do.
really utilize that, and it's not hard to set that up, at all.
And a lot of people, the younger people, like that. I had a listing that was not green certified, but it was, they had everything that this young couple did was energy efficient. And I had multiple offers on it just from the standpoint that it was such a cool factor.
Yeah.
It is cool. It is cool to be more concerned about our environment than not, you know.
Well, and I think like for me, like we have a huge garden in the back. We get, water just like you're talking about. Looking at, I mean, you look at just a front yard, like the way our culture is, you got all of this grass here where you could be planting vegetables and having, a nice little ecosystem, within just all the space that we're using. You look at all these buildings, they could be using rooftop,
Oh,
terraces if you may, like,
like loving
and
that. Yeah,
yeah, I mean, there's a lot of,
there's a subdivision down here called River Forest done by Joe King. And you cannot have any lawns in there. It's all natural environment, all natural plantings and that. And it's when you drive, there's only like 23 homes in here and they're high, they go from a million up. But when you drive through, it's like phenomenal. The feeling, it's like you're walking, when you go for a walk in the evening, everybody that owns it there feels like they're walking in gardens. I'm like,
what was that community?
it's called River Forest.
I'm gonna do a little Google view through it. River
Yes, and
Forest.
he received so many awards for that because of the
Nice.
fact that he did that. You know, I just
Let's
want
talk
people.
let's talk about beginners who might see this or who are just very interested, not just because of the whole green thing, but more like, hey, I want to learn more information, knowledge to help me convert leads, sell properties better, understand where the future of building is going. For someone who's new to real estate today and who cares about sustainability, because I think to your point, there are a lot of younger people who are getting more involved and getting this notion like, hey, we got to protect our planet in ways that maybe, folks before us didn't. Maybe we just didn't understand the damage that, is happening. What's the first thing they should learn or do?
I would go like on that website, Florida Green.
Okay.
the Florida Green Building Coalition, and go under the webinars.
So the
And
Florida Green
Florida
Building
Green Building,
Coalition.
right, it's called Florida Green Building .org is what will get you into the website.
Okay.
But there's webinars in there. I would start listening to the webinars. They're like an hour webinar, and they tell you what the topic is. Some of them are on some's on solar, some's on water star, some's on landscaping. But it kind of gives you an idea on how to run your own home. Like
Mm-hmm.
what could I be doing that's better for my home? It's
Nice.
not just based on the certification. It's based on being more energy efficient. With your own home, reducing your energy costs, making your home more resilient. But that's what I would do. I would take it. And I tell you something, Stellar, and I've got to encourage them to do it again. I've got to reach out to them. They've done some classes for the agents on going through the fields, explaining to them the fields and why they're important to use. I mean, I'd be delighted to. I'm wondering if I should put this on my website, but I've got 17 pages of definitions that I'll send it to you so that you can understand what I'm talking about. I would do that. If I didn't know anything about green, I'd start looking it up. It
Okay.
tells you what an Earthcraft house is, what an Energy Star house is. It goes through all the different what an FGBC certification is. Florida Green Building, like I told you, is based strictly on Florida. The thing I like about Florida, though, about FGBC, is that they have a retrofit program. So somebody like me that lives in Tarzan's house, as I'm doing my renovations, I have a file in my house and I drop those into the file. And if I were to ever sell my house, I could have Florida Green Building come in and do a certification on that house based on
Mm-hmm.
that. They do
That's
a
awesome.
renovation. Yeah, it is. It's fantastic.
So not only are you learning to sell and convert leads better, but you're also personally learning how to make sure your home is energy efficient. So I don't
Right.
think there's any real estate professional who would say, I don't want my house to be energy efficient, or I don't want to save more on bills, or I don't want to add
Right.
value to my property when I sell my own property, right?
Right. I'll send you this 17 pages of definitions so you can go through. It's really interesting. And
Yeah, what we could do is when we post this video in the descriptions, if there's a Google Drive link or something, we can
uh,
direct them to that, and then they can have those resources readily
but that's
available
what
for
I would
them.
do if I was just starting out. And that's what I
That's
encourage
perfect.
agents when I run into them. Because like I said, I don't have agents with me and I don't want agents with me. I'm, I'm in this for a different reason.
Well, we could definitely hear and see your passion about it, and I think, more and more people are getting on board with this. Just like anything, it takes time to really show value, and just like where
Mhm.
we're at with like AI right now, right? People hear about it, it kind of sounds cool, but they don't really understand it or what it is, let alone how it can help them. And
Oh,
so
I'm
like
right
most
there.
time
I'm
they
right there. Yeah.
they kind of just put it to the back burner and continue their life until one day they realize, holy cow, like I've missed out. I wish I would have spent more time involving myself and investigating this more. What are some of the common myths about green real estate that you wish to dispel for newcomers?
Oh. It's not that difficult to
Like when you're
familiarize
talking
yourself.
to people, do you ever talk to them and they're saying, "Oh, this is a myth. It's not really green efficient, or it's actually more expensive." Like, what are some of these things that
I
you're
think the
hearing
miss those are
objections?
I think people understand that there is value to it now. My problem is making the agents uh focus on it, making sure that they represent it with their in their listings and that uh because it is important. But it used to be that it was so much more expensive, but any home that's being built in Florida, the
Hmm.
codes are such that they could qualify for a baseline certification, which doesn't cost them anything. I mean the certification. I'm not a certifying agent, but I think they'd run anywhere from 3 to 500 on the initial upfront getting it certified during that inspection period. But
Hmm.
any home could qualify for it. But I think that people should just start focusing on what makes homes more healthy. you know?
So an agent who's potentially talking to a seller for a listing agreement um, could maybe encourage this homeowner to maybe look at some of these things that are possibly in their house and get one of these people to come in, look at it, see if there's anything that is green during this inspection report. And that little cost $300, like you're saying, 400 or 500 bucks to basically assess that alone would be able to help the homeowner know what they have so that way they can once again market that property as energy
That's
efficient.
funny. See, I've got a listing on the river now, and the home is, oh my God, it's so energy efficient. But it was built back in 2010. So to have that home green certified now, and they've maintained it, so they haven't lost any. To have it certified now, it would run them probably $800. Now the home's a million too. Okay, to me, and I've encouraged them. I said you should have the home green certified so that I can make that representation instead of just loading this up in the MLS. They won't do
Right.
it. They don't want to spend that money. They don't want to spend
Mm.
that money. And that's what, that's always going to be, you're always going to have
Well,
somebody.
it comes down to selling it, right? You got to
Right.
say, here's why you need to do this. And here, let me show you. Basically, maybe doing a home that didn't have it versus a home that had it that was a comparable and they got more money to basically say it's like an investment instead of you renovating or putting in new flooring or doing paint or this or that. Having this inspection done for green can literally give you an ROI in X just by having this now that we
Uh-huh.
can throw it in the marketing. That's huge. And I'm hearing this for the first time too, so it's very intriguing, for me. If I
So,
was an agent, you would have, it made it so that I would definitely start looking at this for sure.
well, and I would
Um,
like people, I mean, when I run into people, the public, they can go on there on these websites, this green building registry that logs all the certifications. I mean, and you can put your address in there, and they'll know what their home is. And if they don't have the certification, then start reaching out to people that can get you that certification so that you understand it. But from an
yeah.
agent standpoint, when you're in a subdivision that mandates green, like Lakewood Ranch, like Babcock Ranch, um, I think it's your responsibility to make sure that that is represented correctly,
Mm.
regardless of how quick that house is going to sell. We're in the business to make people as much money as they could make on a home. And if you drop the ball because you're not involved in it, or you don't understand it enough, you're still losing. The people are losing money because you haven't noted that value there.
And
But
I
like,
and I see that the same as where technology is kind of happening, right? And it just goes to say, like, there's this famous quote I love by Eric Hoffer, and he says, um, basically, learners inherit the earth, while the learned find themselves beautifully equipped to deal with a world that no longer exists.
right.
Right? So those that are learning and growing, they're the ones that are going to be able to inherit the earth and the new world, if you may. And this, I think, is a perfect segue into the next topic here, which I want to focus on. And that's basically where we're going next. These people, if they were just to learn a little bit about green efficiency, how it can add value, spend a little time educating themselves, it would give them a leg up against their competitors, get more money in their pocket for their family, higher quality of life, and the homeowners, everyone's winning, right?
Oh, right.
So let's talk about technology now, especially AI and new tools shaping the way green real estate is marketed or valued in the next 12 months. Like, how do you see AI? And I know not everyone understands what it is, once again, how it actually works or how to leverage it, but I'm just curious for you. Have you looked into AI and how it might do
I'm
it?
just starting to. I don't know, but I know there's got to be an avenue there that I'm missing out on. So I'm just starting to do that, trying to figure out how do I fit this in? How can I link it with technology? Um, you know, because a lot of the AI I'm thinking is like it kind of like leans towards, oh, this is you're gonna get more leads this way. I'm not all about making leads. I'm about making people understand what we have and building from that, you know.
Yeah, I mean, when people hear AI, they most people don't have a clue of what it is, right? Let alone how to capitalize on it to get more leads, maybe to be more efficient, productive, and then profitable. So there's many ways that people can leverage AI. Obviously, I would know I'm a real estate professional. I've built these robust systems in my company, Stellar AI Solutions. We help real estate professionals. So I always like to see how it ties into these unique angles like green. For example, you're familiar with ChatGPT, I'm
Oh
sure,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
You probably started messing with that. A lot of people don't know, and I teach and educate on the fact that right now Zillow is the only the only real estate app that lives within ChatGPT.
Wow,
And
I didn't know that.
what that means is people are starting to search using ChatGPT, and they do it in a way that's not like your typical Google search, where it's like, "Hey, restaurants near me." People talk to ChatGPT like we're talking. I would
Mhm.
say, "Hey, I'm looking for a, 3-bedroom home near the Tampa Bay Stadium or Buck Stadium with a big yard," and they describe it in a conversational way. And so this is changing the way AI is being implemented when people are searching. And so a lot of people don't know that Zillow being inside of ChatGPT, and there's over, I believe, 8 million users, and it's growing, 80 million users, excuse me, growing. And 20% of that are using it as a search functionality. So what
Wow.
I'm thinking, and there are certain ways. So have you heard of SEO?
No.
So SEO, search engine optimization,
Oh, okay.
it's how Google basically brings up things that you're searching for. It has little crawlers, and maybe you're looking for something, and it will show the top 10 results, and you go click it, and there you go. Well, the same thing is kind of happening in ChatGPT, but it's called AIO. So it's artificial intelligent optimization. And
Wow.
that's a big word just to say that if you had a property listing where it was green efficient, right? And you wanted to put that description in, you can use ChatGPT and and use ChatGPT to basically list and describe your property in a way that when people search with it within ChatGPT, that their listing would actually rank higher than someone who's not using that type of AIO. So they're
Oh,
not
wow.
using it. So I see a lot of ways in which taking a higher understanding about a property and the functionality of that property, not only using it, on the web as you do, but when you use ChatGPT, guess what? All that SEO, all that website stuff you worked on, all of those blogs, it gets bypassed and it goes straight into ChatGPT. So when agents start to learn how to actually use ChatGPT to create descriptions of their property, they will actually rank higher in ChatGPT, getting them more buyer leads and closing more deals. And so this is kind of like what I teach on. So
Wow.
I'm always interested in how, things that you're learning that I know. And then as a collective, we're helping a community grow and be better at what they do.
I need to go to your classes.
Well, we could
Seriously.
always have an off side chat, and discuss. But let me ask you this: what's your vision, in your opinion? You may or may not know, just whatever you're seeing out there. What's your vision for the next 5 to 10 years? More green home listings, more buyers demanding sustainability, or a shift in regulations and standards, whether that's governmental, local. What do you
Think
think?
there'll be more green homes. It will be more universal that it will be more green homes. And I think it's kind of blends in with that the governments and everything will be requiring that we go by a certain standard. And so it will be more acceptable. It's not expensive, more expensive like we all used to think it is. It isn't. But I think that we will. Real estate is funny. It's cyclical. It goes like this. Now we're kind of like at a downhill. That's why we're all, with everything that's happening in our world right now, people are kind of hesitant, but it's going to scoot right back up again. But I think the green will be much more prominent because you can see it now increasing. When I see all these different new developments coming up that they're focusing on it, they're mandating it. Some of the developers down here don't, because some of their developments aren't green certified. So if they're a developer, they don't want to say, well, I'm all about green, but I didn't think about it when I did this development, So you're not going to get the developers on board. But this Marshall Goberty, that's with Pearl Homes, he's all about that. He's all about bragging about it. And so I think more people will listen to him. And he's one of these people that, like me, he's open. He'll let any builder, anybody come over and he'll open up his books and show them what it costs, how he got there, why he does it, what his passion comes from. There'll be more people that get on board and understand that.
Yeah, I mean, in regarding, because it sounds like you're pretty confident that that is the way we're
Um,
going. Is that just because of consciousness, and just understanding and seeing what is happening in the world, or is this because of legislative actions and more lobbying
that,
towards
well, it's
this?
because of the boards I'm on.
And
Florida Green Building, U.S. Green Building. These are unbelievable large organizations that are on board. Um, it's with them. All the different green build seminars, everything that we function or have. Uh, and like I said, when I see the governments like Manatee County, Sarasota that are stepping forward, they understand the importance of it too. That's why it's
well,
going to
someone has
become
to be
more.
educating them as well. And so I would think that someone is pushing for more lobbying. Someone is pushing for these organizations, these governments to really step up and mandate these things, um, based on factual data, right? Hey, these are better for homeowners, for the environment, for us as a county, a state, reducing costs, all around. It definitely makes sense. Um, we have just a handful of minutes left here, so I just want to ask you one more regarding kind of the future vision, and where you think we're going next. If you could wave a magic wand, right, this proverbial magic wand, what change would you most want to see in real estate industry regarding energy efficient and sustainability?
I don't know if there's a change. I just want everybody to be involved in what we already have. Uh, like I said, with from the appraisal standpoint, the Appraisal Institute, there's like green appraisers. Um, like when you're selling a property, you shouldn't even, like everybody used to always say, oh, well, we don't have any control over who appraises our property when we go under contract. That is not the case with green. You can demand a green appraiser, somebody that's qualified in that field, that's gone through and knows what the values are. Um, I hope in the future that it just becomes something they're passionate about, that they want to do better. They want to leave their kids better. If you ask these kids that are coming up in grammar school about this, they're more on board than people think they are. We just need to accommodate our kids. We're leaving them with all this. And that's what I want. I want people to be on board and make our world stay here better, you know?
Yeah, it's like, I'm 45, and
Young, you're
I remember
young.
about 20-ish years ago, I was starting to really get active and physical and getting into nutrition, where I started learning nutrition. And then you learn nutrition, biology, physiology. Then you learn, oh, I need better quality food. And then I started to realize, why is there a difference between organic food and non-organic, right? And you start learning about that. And in my head, I'm going, why would we just want all organic for everybody? Like, why are we even, talking about this? And it almost seems the same way here. Like, why are we still using material that's not efficient? Why are we still building things that aren't efficient? It just almost seems like a no-brainer, but obviously, once again, slow curve to massive adoption. But it sounds like you're pretty confident
Oh
that we
yeah.
might have a better world for our youngins, and that more people are going to and leaning towards green building, and hopefully we can have some oversight that does help, with some of these processes in providing this. Now, obviously, it's a big change. There's many factors that play into it, resources and things of that nature. But I think it has to start somewhere. And I think education is big. And it sounds like you're really on the forefront of that. And I commend you. Once again, we're going to put all that information for people who do want to start, how to get started, your webinar. And before we get your
They
info
can go
in
on
there,
my website, peggychrist.com, and I've got links to everything that I've got the links to all the different subdivisions that are green certified. I keep track of socials that we're doing on it. And it also gives the Florida Green Buildings a link to that, a link to the US Green Building. And I am so available to everybody. I mean, if
that's
somebody
awesome.
I mean, I'm working with a girl that I ran into at one of my socials that's now going into sustainability. And so I'm helping her get familiar with what this is all about.
Nice. And is that a paid class or is it free?
Free.
Wonderful. And that's
.com.
peggychrist.com.
Uh-huh.
And are you active on socials? Can they connect
Oh
with
yeah.
you? Facebook,
Oh yeah. I'm
Instagram?
on everything.
Fantastic. Well, cool. Are there any resources other than what you've shared right now that might be helpful for the listeners, or is that pretty much sum up kind of
Well,
where to
that
get
pretty much
going?
sums it up. I mean,
Okay.
like I said, on my website, it tells you what the Appraisal Institute's website is, but I'm going to send you these 17 pages of definitions and some of the stuff that I talked about with the links for agents that can find out whether their a home is certified when they're doing it, like this green building registry. These were all things that took time to start up. Even with the Florida Green Building, trying to consolidate all the information,
Mm,
because years back, when they first started Lakewood Ranch, they didn't do it. And it was like, oh my God, so why are we encouraging people to get green certified homes if we're not going to maintain the records, so that somebody has some focus? And it took us, oh my God, we only went live with ours probably a year ago. That's sad. That's
mm.
sad. That's why I say I'm 73 and I'm all about making sure somebody takes my ball and runs with it.
I
So,
love it. Got to pass on the torch,
right,
got to
right,
pass it on.
right.
Well, we're going to do something really fun and then we're going to let you go. We're going to do kind of a fun lightning round. I'm just going to ask you real quick questions and just spit off an answer. All right, you ready?
Yeah.
All right. One tool you can't live without.
The computer,
Favorite part of the job?
people,
Your least favorite part?
paperwork.
Cold calling or door knocking? Or
Ne-
neither?
Neither. I don't do either.
Best closing gift you've ever given or received?
I gave somebody a weekend at a little beach place up in the Panhandle, a getaway place at the Panhandle. That was probably the nicest gift I gave.
Nice. And do you have a book or a podcast or something that maybe you share that's really influenced you spiritually, mentally, business development wise that maybe you could share?
No, I don't. I don't. I think we should all just be good to one another. I encourage people. None of us know what's happening in our lives. And when you run into people, you have no idea what's happening in their lives. I think we just need to be kinder and more gentle and more engaging with one another,
Yeah,
and accepting.
I agree. Well, Peggy, this has been a pleasure. Thank you
Me
so
too.
much for your time and your energy jumping on the show. And I think there is a lot of value here that listeners can take, especially when it's coming to learning and growing as a human being, but more importantly, as a real estate professional, and just stepping up your game. And we just really appreciate and thank you for sharing today. And for those that are watching or listening, if you have an incredible story or journey, or maybe some insights onto where you've gotten today, we'd love to have you on here at Stellar Minds. You can email me at thomas@stellaraisolutions.com or connect with me on any of our socials. And until next time, God bless and hope you have a stellar day. Take care. Bye bye.
Thanks. Thanks, hon.